balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events. This is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Perspective. I am your host, Rick. Oh, goodness gracious. Well, the news cycle actually has kind of calmed down a little bit, although I will have to admit the left, oh, those people. I don't know where they get their ideas. I really don't. But they posted a video that obviously is very cringeworthy. We'll get into that in just a few minutes. Also, too, some movement. Kash Patel has made his first move as the FBI director against some criminals, or alleged criminals, I should say. Trump makes a threat to Russia. Russia responds. And China may not be sitting as happy about the whole situation with the tariffs as we think. We got all that and more here in just a few minutes. But first, let's go ahead and get our own 3 Chevy, who will be performing the Pledge of Allegiance here on the program. So if you don't mind, if you are of mind, I should say, please stand, remove your hat if you're wearing one, and place your hand over your heart and follow along with 3 Chevy as he recites the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And, of course, I thank you, 3 Chevy, for that wonderful rendition of the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would like to hear your rendition of the pledge played here on the program, all you need to do is record yourself reciting the pledge in your style. Take that audio or video file or whatever kind of file, attach it to an email, send it off to me. Send it to fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans at AmericanPerspective.online. And I will get you into the rotation as quickly as possible. And tonight's headliner sponsor is theflagshirt.com. That's right. You see these wonderful, sharp-looking, American-themed flags, flag shirts, or whatever other kinds of things. I mean, I have, several of the men's cotton polos. And all you need to do is go to theflagshirt.com. Right now, they have some great collections that are there for you. They've got some bestsellers for spring on tap. They have some other accompanying patriotic accessories. They've also started to put together their 4th of July outfits because the 4th is not that far away. They have patriotic bundles and, of course, the founders, Steve's picks, which some of my shirts are on that list. But go and check it out at theflagshirt.com. And if you order $75 or more of their product, they will give you free shipping. But I know, not everybody can order $75. Either you don't want to, or you literally can't. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to help you out. How do I do that? Well, it's pretty simple. All you have to do is go to flagshirt.americanperspective.online. That's flagshirt, all one word, .americanperspective.online. And you will be presented with a promo code that you can copy and paste into the promo code box at checkout at theflagshirt.com to get yourself $5 off your order. Go to flagshirt.americanperspective.online, get that coupon code, copy and paste it into the promo code box at checkout at theflagshirt.com and get $5 off your order on American Perspective. Head on over to theflagshirt.com and get yourself patriotized. All right. Well, I don't know. I mean, I saw it on X, so I don't know how many of you were on X or not, but yeah, there was a cringe-worthy video. For those of you who have lived a lot longer than most of the people who are probably attempting to, that the Democrats are attempting to reach out to, those of you who recall like the Street Fighter video game, okay? The Street Fighter video game where you would pick your player and that player would drop in. Well, somebody somewhere, probably some millennial or whatever, got the idea that, hey, this might be a pretty cool thing to do. And, well, let's just say it's a little cringeworthy. Let's go and check it out really quick here so you know what I'm talking about. Just take a listen to this. For those of you on the audio portion of the program, these are people who are coming down, you know, basically acting as though they're coming down and dropping into the frame. Yeah, it's just, you gotta watch it. You gotta head over to rumble.com and watch it. There's AOC. Yep. Laura Underwood. Catherine Clark. Judy Chu. Jasmine Crockett. Susie Lee. There you go. It's Choose Your Fighter. And they drop in there. They got to show off their special powers. Oh, and they've got like little descriptions. All right, I'm not gonna force you to watch that a third time, but they've got these little character traits in neon. So, for an example, for Sulhi Jessica Wu, they've got Bento Box Queen, Mommy of the Century, and she is sleep deprived, which is a negative. And then, I got to see what they say for AOC. Hold on. We're getting there. Yeah, here we go. AOC, New York's 14th congressional district, youngest woman plus Latina to be elected to the House. And her minus is that she's a Trekkie. Oh my gosh, talk about cringeworthy. This is just absolutely horrible. Let's see who they do. Oh, okay. We have Representative Lauren Underwood. Her traits are youngest black woman elected to Congress, co-funded the Black Maternal Office. Really? And her minus is that she hates balloons. Representative Catherine Clark. She's the House Minority Whip, Massachusetts 5th Congressional District. And her minus is that she's not into hair dye. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. I just can't. Oh, wait a minute. There's Jasmine Crockett. I got to get to Jasmine Crockett because she's, well, Judy Chu. Yeah, whatever. Here's Jasmine Crockett's. She's Texas's 30th congressional district. She's a public defender plus attorney. Probably one of the most stupid, I think, that were out there. But anyway, and her negative is that she's not a morning person. Oh, and they're all like dancing up and down. They're bouncing. It's just, yeah, you got to watch it. It's horrible. Oh, poor Susie Lee. Her minus is that she has 2 sprained fingers. Oh my God. I mean, seriously, folks, this is just, well, the White House, they're smart, they're good, and they responded to that just absolute horrible display. And listen, let's go with this one here. I'll show you. Oh, wait. Yeah, so here's what they responded with. They have America Joe's at Spiders last November, and they have pictures of Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, Pete Hegseth, Tulsi Gabbard, Marco Rubio, Tom Homan, Kash Patel, I can't remember his name, but something Lutnick, yeah, and Pam Bondi is in there, RFK Jr.'s in there, yeah, oh, that was the response back. So, oh, it's good to see the White House has got at least a little bit of a yeah, Kristi Noem. Thank you. Kristi Noem was in there too. Yeah. So, oh, I saw that and I just had to laugh. I really did. I just had to laugh. Yeah. Oh, and what's funny is the post, the White House, and it's the White House's account. It's at the White House, okay? Or I'm sorry, at White House. And they said, hey, at House Democrats, we fixed this for you. It's just fantastic. You got to have a laugh on a Friday for sure. Well, Donald Trump's first unemployment report came out, and to be honest, it's not bad. Not good, but not bad. It's kind of like, in the middle. But let's just go ahead and take a quick look at this. So this came out, this covers all the way through February of 2025. So the total non-farm payment employment rose by 151,000 in February. The unemployment rate changed very little at 4.1%. So employment trended up in healthcare, financial activities, transportation and warehousing, and social assistance. Now, this is a statement that's cool. Federal government employment declined. Okay. So anyway, among the major groups, it reports, sorry, my bad. So the unemployment population ratio decreased by 0.2 percentage points to 59.9% in February. That's how many people eligible for employment who are actually working. And we've been hovering for the most part over the course of the last decade, running somewhere between 60 to 70% employment. And so that dropped a little bit. The number of long-term unemployed at 1.5 million changed very little. The long-term unemployed accounted for 20.9% of all the unemployed people. Let's see. The number of people employed part-time for economic reasons increased by 460,000 to 4.9 million in February. These individuals would have preferred full-time employment, but were working part-time because their hours had been reduced or they were unable to find full-time jobs. The number of people who are not in the labor force who currently want a job increased to 414,000, or increased by 414,000 to 5.9 million in February. These individuals were not counted as unemployed as they were not actively looking for work during the 4 weeks preceding the survey, or were unavailable to take a job. So the other thing that came out too is the fact that manufacturing increased as well as healthcare. Healthcare added 52,000 jobs. Let's see, what else is in here? Financial activities rose 21,000 in February. Commercial banking lost 5,000 jobs. Employment continued to trend upward in real estate and rental leasing, roughly about 10,000. Insurance carriers and related activities, roughly around 5,000. Transportation and warehousing employment continued to trend up in February, 18,000. And that's most of this, again, is just in line with the growth that's been running around here. So, I mean, again, honestly, it's not a bad report, but it's not necessarily a good report either, other than the fact that these numbers are not going to be revised down, I don't believe. So, anyway, retail trade changed little over the month. Food and beverage retailers declined a little bit by 15,000, largely due to strike activity, they say. Warehouse clubs, supercenters, and other general merchandise retailers added about 10,000 jobs, according to this. So, yeah. Again, not great, but not horrible. Now, one thing that does come out that is a pretty good thing is that the average hourly earnings for all employees on private non-farm payrolls rose by 10 cents, 0.3%, to $35.93. Over the past 12 months, average hourly earnings have been increasing by 4%. In February, average hourly earnings of private sector production and non-supervisory employees rose by 9 cents to $30.89. So monies are starting to come up. But again, as Buddy points out, we haven't even gotten into the Trump term yet. So even though this is going to be credited toward Trump, none of it, we're still under the effects of the Biden economy disaster, Buddy Weiser points out, which is true. So anyway, like I said, not bad, but not good either. All right, shifting gears here. Do you remember Peyton McNabb? She was the volleyball player that got smacked in the head by a male playing in the female division and was permanently injured. She apparently, according to the Daily Signal, has now suffered even more of a bit of a consequence. Her sorority has now kicked her out. So her sports career, by the way, is completely over with. She can't play anything ever again. And it was after that male spiked the ball into her face. She's now facing punishment. She's also facing punishment from her sorority for the crime of confronting a man who was using women's restrooms. McNabb gained story, of course, or gained more attention. Her story gained more attention after President Donald Trump invited her to his speech in Congress last Tuesday, and after Senate Democrats voted against a bill to exclude men from women's sports on Monday. So the sorority Delta Zeta expelled McNabb on May 20th of 2024 after finding her, quote, guilty of violating the sorority's anti-bullying policy and of engaging in moral prejudicial conduct. The bullying violation apparently involves any activity which is reasonably perceived as being dehumanizing, intimidating, hostile, threatening, or otherwise likely to invoke fear of physical harm or emotional distress. The prejudicial conduct violation involves conduct that may bring the sorority into disrepute. Yeah, Really? Anyway, apparently the offense that she did was she actually calmly confronted a man in a dress in a woman's restroom, recording him out of fear for her safety and then posting the video on X to warn other young women. McNabb apparently asked the man, "What are you doing?" Man responded, "Going to the bathroom." She asked him, "Why are you in the girls' bathroom?" And the man said, "Because I'm a trans girl." McNabb noted that, "I pay a lot of money to be safe in the bathroom." The man calls her rude. As he walks away, the female student asks, "Do you think that's okay?" And you can see the video on her X account, apparently. So, yeah. Apparently, the chief learning officer of Delta Zeta, Will Frankenberger, is a man who publicly espouses left-wing gender ideology, led the disciplinary hearing and all of the procedures. At one point, he said, "We're just sorority sisters having a chat." Though he immediately added, "Well, not me. I think I'm Delta Zeta, but I'm not." Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, this is going to be a continuous fight, folks. This is going to be a continuous fight. I'm just telling you, we're not done yet. We're not done yet. Okay. So, Gavin Newsom launched his podcast. And for those of you who may not have watched it, his first guest was Charlie Kirk. Now, Charlie, of course, being who he is, so the podcast, Newsom's podcast, is called This is Gavin Newsom. All right. And, yeah, Charlie Kirk basically didn't beat around the bush, and asked if he would come out and say what basically that no men in women's sports. Well, here, let's go ahead and take a listen to the clip, and you'll. It's
like you right now should come out and be like, you know what? The young man who's about to win the state championship in the long jump in female sports, right. that shouldn't happen. You as the governor should step out and say no.
No, and I appreciate
but like, would you do something like that? Would you say no men in female sports?
Well, I think it's an issue of fairness. I completely agree with you on that. So that's easy to call out, the unfairness of that. There's also a humility and a grace, that these poor people are more likely to commit suicide, have anxiety and depression. And the way that people talk down to vulnerable communities is an issue that I have a hard time with as well. So both things I can hold in my hand. How can we address this issue with the kind of decency that I think, is inherent in you, but not always expressed?
So basically, Gavin showed the kind of scum that he really is. So he's starting to see the winds changing. And so what does he do? He decides to change his tune a little bit and is saying that no. This is a fairness issue. Yeah. So, anyway, he quickly, during the thing, it appeared that Newsom was diverting from his party and speaking out against men playing in women's sports, but yet he quickly reverted to the lies spread by Democrats and transgender activists that by not supporting transgender individuals, they are more likely to commit suicide and have anxiety and depression. Well, there's a study out, by the way, that states that, yeah, even going through transgender surgeries and treatment, there's not really much of a change from prior to and after. So I'm not exactly sure that that necessarily is a true statement. But anyway, liberals turned and blasted Newsom for his anti-transgender remarks. Leaders of California legislation's LGBTQ caucus responded by saying, "We woke up profoundly sickened and frustrated by these remarks." It was a post on X. Gavin Newsom, you are a effing coward and not standing with trans people. Would never support your ticket for president, another person wrote. Scott Wiener, who is the Democrat state senator who wants to legalize pedophilia, from San Francisco, by the way, who is openly gay, said it was deeply disappointing to hear Mr. Newsom align with Republicans on the issue, according to a statement in the New York Times. Mr. Wiener said it was a gut punch from any Democrat leader, particularly from Governor Newsom, because he has been such a staunch ally for the LGBTQ community. Yeah, they're... Assemblymember Alex Lee also took issue with it and said, WTF, trans people and LGBTQ plus people are under attack, he said on X. We don't need our governor caving to conservative talking points that further hurt and scapegoat 1% of the population. Folks, he just said what the problem is. It's 1% of the population that is basically requesting 99% to bow down. Now, keep in mind, this isn't the lesbian or gay. I mean, whatever your sexual preference is, there you go. You know, bisexual. Okay, fine. All of that stuff is in your bedroom. But to sit here and to bend over backwards and to say things like we have to, in terms of a full society as a whole, have to bend over backwards and think, okay, you know, men can be women and women can be men, and accept the fact that they need to be inside sports. When you have the 400th or 300th or 200th ranked male player in almost any sport beating out the number one female player, this is a problem. Okay. Look, you do you, and as long as you're not affecting other people, great. But look at like Peyton getting smacked in the face with a ball, giving her such a concussion it ended her sporting career. Okay, Riley Gaines, who worked so hard to become the number one female swimmer, only to have it taken away because of the fact that Leah Thomas, I'm referring to that, Leah Thomas decided that after being ranked 200 or 300th in swimming, decided to jump ship and go and be a female swimmer in order to make his bones. Yeah. Anyway. So, yeah. Now Newsom's comments, by the way, being hit by the left, by his own party, also was hit by the right. Because, as I believe, all of this is just political. I think by him launching this podcast, he's attempting to identify and attempting to get involved with the younger generations and the new media out there. Because podcasting is just like taken off and has, just eclipsed the standard mainstream media. And so he did this, I think, as a strategic position in order to try and run for president someday. So anyway, even Riley Gaines, like I mentioned earlier, she jumped in and said, wow, this is the first time I've seen Newsom directly ask this question. As you'd expect, he continues to sit on the fence. He admits the unfairness is a problem, but won't take meaningful action out of fear of being perceived as unkind. Yeah. So, anyway, so there you go. All right. Let me go ahead and put this read in here. This particular sponsorship is from Rumble, one that is incredibly important to the survival of the Rumble company. When Rumble first started in 2013, they built the platform for the small creator. They didn't censor or have biases. They were fair and treated all creators equally. No one thought platforms would censor political conversation or censor opinions on COVID, but they did. Facebook admitted they fell to the pressure from the Biden-Harris administration. Rumble did not. They held the line. They are attacked daily for giving us a voice to talk to you, us conservatives, that is. They are attacked in corporate media. They are attacked by governments like France. They are attacked from brand advertisers who refuse to work with them. Corporate America is fighting to remove speech. Rumble is fighting to keep it. Rumble won't survive with brand advertisers. They don't get much of it. Watching our show on Rumble is the most they can ask from you. But if you really believe in this fight, and if you have the means, one major way you can help Rumble survive is by joining Rumble Premium. You can just click the QR code that's right over here. Join the community that believes in the First Amendment and believes in our human right to free speech. Rumble is offering $10 off with the promo code STUDIO. That's all capital letters, STUDIO. When you purchase an annual subscription, go to rumble.com/premium and use that promo code. Again, all capital letters, STUDIO, STUDIO. Like I said, if you have the means and believe in the cause, now is the time to join Rumble Premium. If you don't have the means, that's fine. We're just happy if you watch us on Rumble. All right. Well, Kash Patel has made his first splash in as director of the FBI. So, sorry about that. Had to take a quick drink. Here in the Daily Wire, Kash Patel's FBI arrests U.S. Army members for, quote, betraying the country. They will face swift, severe, and comprehensive justice. One former soldier and two active duty U.S. Army soldiers were arrested over alleged schemes to send national defense information to China. The Justice Department announced on Thursday that Jian Zhao and Li Tan, both active duty Army soldiers based at Joint Base Lewis McChord, just south of me, and former soldier Ryu Duan have been charged with stealing U.S. military secrets. They were accused of stealing top-secret hard drives, information on weapon systems, and documents on missile defense to sell to individuals based in China, the DOJ said. The defendants arrested today are accused of betraying our country, actively working to weaken America's defense capabilities, and empowering our adversaries in China, said Attorney General Pam Bondi. They will face swift, severe, and comprehensive justice. Tian and Duan were charged in Oregon with conspiring to commit bribery and theft of government property. Zhao was charged in Washington with conspiring to obtain and transmit national defense information, and also for bribery and theft of government property. Kash Patel made this statement, while bribery and corruption have thrived under China's Communist Party, this behavior cannot be tolerated with our service members who are entrusted with sensitive military information, including national defense information. The FBI and our partners will continue to work to uncover attempts by those in China to steal sensitive U.S. military information and hold all accountable who play a role in betraying our national defense. According to the indictment, Duan and Tian were involved in a conspiracy that began on or around November 28th of 2021 to steal information on America's operational capabilities by stealing technical manuals and other documentation. The scheme was active as recently as December 19th of 2024. The DOJ said Duan allegedly paid Tian to steal information on the Bradley and Stryker U.S. Army fighting vehicles. Zhao is accused of selling hard drives after July 2024 that were marked secret and top secret to individuals in China for at least $10,000. He's also accused of stealing a government computer with information on the high mobility artillery rocket system and information related to potential conflict between the U.S. and China. Okay. Well, yeah. As if you don't think that, I wonder if there's any information on when those folks came here and whether or not they got here sometime during the Biden administration's open borders. I wonder if they got here and slipped into the Army on purpose. That's a good question. That'll be interesting to find out if it actually does. If we actually do. All right. So Trump, while being shall we say, less than soft on Ukraine and Zelensky, he has now shifted his attention not just on Zelensky, but also over to Russia. Now, Russia apparently started, because of that breakdown in talks and because of what happened in the Oval Office the other day, decided to start a massive air offensive against the Ukrainians. And Trump sent out a brief warning on Truth Social today. Or was it today? Let's see. It's March. Sent it out on Truth Social. Don't know when it was sent, but it had to have been in the last 24 hours. He said, based on the fact that Russia is absolutely pounding Ukraine on the battlefield right now, I am strongly considering large-scale banking sanctions, other sanctions, and tariffs on Russia until a ceasefire and final settlement agreement on peace is reached. To Russia and Ukraine, get to the table right now before it is too late. Thank you. So, Putin responded. And first of all, Vladimir Zelensky called for a truce, by the way, and was talking, calling for a truce and everything else. Well, the update is that Russia has apparently heard the message, and an offer from Russia is that Russia is willing to discuss a temporary truce in Ukraine, provided there is progress toward a final peace settlement, according to people familiar with the matter in Moscow. The first sign of a positive response from President Putin to Donald Trump's call for a ceasefire. The offer was conveyed in last month's talks in Saudi Arabia between Russian and American officials. However, in order to agree to the cessation of hostilities, they would have to be a clear understanding about the framework principles for a final peace accord. Two people with knowledge of the matter said. Russia will insist, in particular, on establishing the parameters of an eventual peacekeeping mission, including agreement on which countries would take part, said another person familiar with the issue. So this looks like we may have a possibility here of getting something out of this whole thing. Now, Russia is apparently prepared, by the way, to allow peacekeeping forces in Ukraine to guarantee compliance, at least in principle. So this is going to be interesting to watch moving forward. Now, honestly, I think the best off-ramp for this is simply this. Russia keeps the Donbass and Crimea regions that they've been occupying for the last several years. And they give as a concession, they give the opportunity for European forces to occupy parts of the border in order to ensure peace between Russia and Zelensky in Ukraine. And honestly, I think that's probably going to be the best kind of solution that you're going to get out of all of this between Zelensky. Zelensky's not going to be able to get into NATO or any of that other stuff. So that's probably going to be the best outcome for this entire situation, to be honest with you. But the mere fact that Putin has actually reached out offering a pause in order for this to occur, and Zelensky has now realized his ill-advised mistake last Friday in the Oval Office, then maybe we're one step closer toward a possible resolution here in the Russia-Ukraine war. Well, the Democrats, their fundraising platform apparently is suffering some of the same problems that the Democrat Party is. Here in the Daily Fetched, Democrat fundraising platform Act Blue faces collapse as officials suddenly resign. I wonder why. So, for those of you that may not know what Act Blue is, it's the Democrats' most prominent and one of their most important, by the way, fundraising platforms. Act Blue has apparently plunged into turmoil. According to a lawyer who is still with Act Blue, as 7 senior officials put in their resignations without any kind of an explanation. So the lawyer who's still with Act Blue, by the way, he said that he suffered what he describes as an internal retaliation from the group. The platform raises funds for Democrats running for office at all levels of government, has become the subject of several investigations amid accusations of fraud and money laundering. You'll recall that we discussed Act Blue, and their possibility of taking big mega donors and farming lists of individuals and making donations in those individuals' names in order to cover up the mega donors' names, and the mega donors being sending in all this money. So anyway, the mass exodus from Act Blue, back to the piece, appears to signal imminent collapse following a letter from two unions representing the group's workers to the platform's board of directors. The letter described an alarming pattern of departures from a group that was eroding our confidence in the stability of the organization. Quote, those of us who work with our legal team in our day-to-day do not have clear direction on how to proceed with our work in their absence, the unions wrote to the Act Blue board. Megan Hughes, who is an Act Blue spokesperson, responded to the concern, saying, like many organizations, as we undergo some transition heading into this new election cycle, we are focused on ensuring that we have a strong team in place. We greatly appreciate the contributions of our incredible team members and remain deeply committed to the success of our organization and our mission to enable grassroots supporters to make their voices heard. Now, Charlie Kirk posted on X what he thinks is going on, and he basically said, the New York Times reports that Act Blue is in turmoil. Mysteriously, 7 top executives have all left in the past 3 weeks, several of whom had all been there for more than a decade. None of them will explain on record why they left. The last remaining lawyer of Act Blue's general counsel's office has been locked out of his email and put on leave after sending internal messages that we have whistleblower policies for a reason. The two unions representing Act Blue employees are openly questioning the group's stability and call the situation alarming. More than $16 billion has passed through Act Blue in the last 20 years. What could they possibly be hiding? So, yeah. If Act Blue is going down, okay, if Act Blue is going down, it essentially means that the Democrats could lose or could face major fundraising setbacks in the future. So this is not necessarily a good thing. It's a good thing for conservatives, don't get me wrong. But it's not necessarily a good thing for the Democrats. So as you can see, there is further cracks that are presenting themselves in the entire Democrat scenario. All right. My chat is going nuts again. They're all over the place. They are all over the board. Anyway. All right. Let's go back to, okay. So the Senate has finally gotten some, movement, I guess, in terms of a specific, scenario with regards to the Chinese buying farmland purchases near military bases. So a bill that is designed to block China, Iran, and other U.S. adversaries from buying up farmland now apparently has bipartisan support in the Senate. So the PASS Act, which is led by Senator Mike Rounds, has the backing of Majority Leader John Thune and would prevent any entity from a covered country, which includes China, North Korea, Russia, and Iran, from purchasing agricultural land near military bases or sensitive sites. It would also give the Department of Agriculture the ability to submit cases to the Committee on Foreign Investment in the U.S. for review if it believes there is a national security concern, and make the agricultural secretary a voting member of the committee for purchases of agricultural land, biotechnology, and any other transactions related to the agriculture industry. The legislation has Democrat support from Nevada's Catherine Cortez Masto, whose state is home to sensitive research and testing sites such as Area 51. It also has the backing of Senators John Hoeven of North Dakota and Cynthia Lemons of Wyoming. So the Chinese apparently owned around 350,000 acres of farmland across 27 states, according to the Department of Agriculture from last year. As of 2022, foreign entities and individuals held 43.4 million acres of U.S. agricultural land, which is nearly 2% of all of the land in the U.S. So, and you recall that article that I read to you about the Huawei, the Chinese company Huawei having equipment set up near military bases during the Biden administration for obvious, let's be honest, it's obvious spying and so on and so forth. So, yeah. President Donald Trump's national security memorandum said Chinese farmland purchases must be countered. In it, it said the U.S. will protect our farmland and real estate near sensitive facilities, strengthening CFIUS authority over greenfield investments. So they are taking a look and watching and making sure that this stuff is going to be very careful. Now, Chinese companies own nearly 10,000 acres of farmland in Polk, Florida, which is near MacDill Air Force Base, and 277 acres in San Diego County near Camp Pendleton. A 2022 Chinese land purchase set off alarm bells when food producer Fufeng F-U-F-E-N-G, Fufeng Group bought 370 acres for corn milling near a North Dakota Air Force Base. So, yeah. Anyway, so they're looking to add that up or shore that up with legislation. Well, speaking of China, apparently they are not as comfortable with the tariff situation as what they purportedly seem to be in their recent announcements that we discussed last night with regards to they are really ready and willing to fight any kind of war, quote unquote, regardless of what it is, whether it's a physical war, a trade war, etc., etc. Well, apparently, despite this bravado talk, a foreign military spokesman, I got to get further down here. Chinese President Xi Jinping is concerned that Beijing could find itself cut off by trade restrictions and sanctions, according to a Wall Street Journal report on Thursday. Such a scenario would mean fewer outlets for its goods and limited access to vital technologies. In fact, according to the Wall Street Journal again, Xi worries about China becoming involved in another Cold War-like scenario, in which his country battles the U.S. for economic, technological, and overall geopolitical supremacy. A particular source told the Wall Street Journal, now China is in danger of becoming the target of a similar rivalry. Xi believes that must be avoided. Report also said that from Xi, from the first trade war with Trump, learned that his country has more to lose from responding to the tariff hike with proportional increases because the U.S. buys substantially more from China than the other way around, which is exactly what I kept telling you. Okay? Is that America in these trade deals or trade wars with these tariffs, the U.S. has less to lose than these other countries do. And that's part of the reason why these tariffs work. That's why these tariffs are an effective tool in order to influence these other countries to do something that we want them to do. Okay? So there you go. Anyway, Xi's domestic economy is in a crisis, and the Chinese president wants to rely on the global trade system, which is, of course, exactly what Trump is determined to reform. A China expert at the Heritage Foundation said they are kind of desperate. Their economy is in trouble, and now that Trump has put the tariffs on, they know this campaign has failed. So, yeah. China is not going to fare well with this whole thing. Just saying. All right. Let me get one more read in here. Let's see. Let's do this one. Okay. Weak coffee is for the weak. Let's just throw it out there. Weak coffee is for the weak. I mean, I drink coffee in the morning. I have a pretty big cup that I drink in the morning. And yeah, if it isn't enough to wake me up, man, it's not even worth it. Well, here at Rumble, weak has never been part of the mission. No fillers, no fraud, and no settling for mediocrity. It's just like 1775 coffee. It's a single origin, small farm, hand-picked, specialty grade coffee that stands for quality, free speech, and calling out BS when it matters. Forget stale, mass-produced beans roasted just enough to hide the flaws. Dark roast hits like a Trump tariff. Medium roast keeps it bold without the bitterness. And Vitality Mushroom Blend, real energy and lasting focus, no synthetic garbage. For K-Cup pods, whole bean, or fresh ground coffee, go to 1775. That's 1775 coffee, all one word, .com. Use the promo code STUDIO, STUDIO, all capitals, for 15% off. And start your morning with coffee that actually stands for something. Go to 1775coffee.com. That's 1775coffee.com. And use promo code STUDIO for 15% off your order and start your morning, again, with coffee that stands for something. Oh, and by the way, every dollar spent enters you to win a Cybertruck, if you're interested, and $30,000 in cash. Go to 1775coffee.com, that's all one word, and use the promo code STUDIO to get 15% off. And don't forget that every dollar you spend enters you to win a Cybertruck and $30,000 in cash. All right. Well, this last thing that I have here is directed at me. If I all of a sudden disappear, folks, I may have become victim of the Washington State Domestic Extremism Task Force. So apparently they put this damn thing together, and it's stacked with all kinds of leftist groups. In particular, some that are even attached to the Southern Poverty Law Center, the SPLC. Now, the SPLC isn't directly connected, okay, but groups with close ties to it are connected and have a presence on this thing. So, yeah. If I all of a sudden disappear, folks, maybe that might be the part of the reason why. You should go and check out the Daily Signal's article on it. So, yeah, so there's people are warning that they're trying to they're going after organizations that are accused of being hate groups. And the task force itself could also put pressure on banks to close out financial accounts from churches, ministries, and organizations that don't bend the knee to their racial intolerant perspectives. So, yeah. Anyway, if I all of a sudden disappear, that might be why. Anyway. All right, guys. That's it for me for tonight. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, head on over to rumble.com. Get yourself an account. It is free. And once you are signed up and signed in, make sure you hit that, or make sure you search up the American Perspective channel and hit that green follow button to get notified every time I go live. Don't forget to hit those thumbs up and like buttons all the way on your way out. And that's across all of my, outlets, whether it is X, Facebook, YouTube, and of course the aforementioned Rumble. We will see you tomorrow night, 1 hour later, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern time, right here on American Perspective. Have a great rest of your evening, and good night, everybody.